The Bandits of Golak, not only beautifully animated, but also an incredibly emotional, especially at the end there. So my first question has to be, how did you conceive of the story and what was the inspiration behind it?
The story started with something very simple. It was just an experience that I had when I was around 8 years old. And me and my elder brother went on this very unusual road trip in which he was taking care of me all the time. It was very long, about 2, 3 days. And I was just trying to have the fun, but he thought that it's dangerous and he should be taking care of me. And that whole 2, 3 days journey left a very deep imprint on me. So that became the genesis of this, actually. So I was basically Ronnie, he was Charuk, and we were, on this trip. And then I expanded. I kept expanding. I came up with a basic draft, and me, Milind, all the team at the 88, we jammed on it. That can we do something with it? Can we make it deeply personal? How do we bring in Star Wars in it? And then when Ronnie is force sensitive, that changed everything. That gave us the drive that okay, this is how Charuk becomes that accidental hero. And ultimately, when he has to depart, when Rani has to depart and everything, I think that is where his heroic nature comes in, because he has to make that ultimate sacrifice. And yeah, since it was so personal, we could really write it down. Okay, let's do this in a way that the reason Charuk is heroic is not because he has superpowers or because he can try to run on the train or he can do something cool in the dhaba, but because he can let go.
I'm the oldest brother of three, so that ending just got me right there.
Yeah, I think, we were very clear about just trying to do a relationship drama first, and we talked about different angles. But when the sibling came up, I think, each one of us have some certain, memories of that. And then, towards the end, especially, we wanted to make sure that the end has to be something, right? And we had something and we kept changing, and it's very coincidental, and that's why when filmmaker makes stories which are very personal and close to them, that it touches the heart. So in this case also, there's a memory Ishan carried with. There's something I had which is more closer to the end, where somebody you really care and you love and you have to let go was very deeply connecting with us. But at the end, when you're letting go, the sacrifice can be beautiful. It doesn't have to be that, when you care somebody so much and then you have to go, that knowing that they're going to be in a better place, and then you carry, and then the idea about when you go and then, the flute comes out, right? And every time, even today, all of us which we saw, we feel very connected. It's almost you get shocked. And that part was also very close to me as personally. So when it so nicely and coincidentally happened that we felt this significant sibling dynamics has worked us so closely everywhere. Like even when you were telling me that, you've got 3 ones to take care of it. We just kept going about it. And, the character kept growing, the arc kept growing. And in the end, Charuk is actually a hero, but he's not a hero. But, you land up being that when you have somebody to take care of it. And I hope, I'm glad that it touched you, as I'm sure it will touch others too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, that leads really nicely into my next question. So, if you were given an opportunity, or even if you were just in your mind conceiving of a sequel, right? Do you think we would follow Rani? Would we pick up with Charuk? If you had to pitch a sequel, what might that look like?
I just see this film as a fan, and I just finish it. I want to know the next step. What happens to Charuk when he goes back home? What he really does. He goes back to his farm village. He has seen this big bad world already. He has been on a journey already. He's that Samwise Gamgee who's coming back to his village. What happens next? Do we really see something very, very personal, something which is not so big in stakes in Star Wars? As a fan, I would be very curious about that. Okay, if he just lives and he keeps going, if he keeps missing Rani, or maybe he's waiting for her, or he's going about his life, I would be very curious to know that.
The other part is also, if you think of it, the Jangor is when they're chasing the train. Of course, they're chasing the train for probably looting the Imperial Army train, right? But they are not doing anything to Charuk. They're shooting bullets, but Charuk is saved, right? So who are they? Do they have a connection or they do not? Who is this tribe? What are they trying to do? Like, what is their real connection? Is there a backstory? Like we just have one guy who comes in the stop and we just put a camera onto that, and that's it. And there is a guy out there. There is a story out there, which could be really, really interesting. So we have left enough hints.
And we do have a backstory on that guy, Milind.
Okay.
Me and my brothers, one of our favorite characters in the short was the Inquisitor. Where did the inspiration for him come from?
When we started this Inquisitor, our first idea was to bring Sixth Brother in the film. And then Lucasfilms encouraged us that why not try to create your own, because it's a new planet in the Star Wars universe. And that was super exciting. But again, it was super... we were nervous because, okay, creating an iconic villain from scratch, it's a big deal. But again, since we are Indians and we realize that there's so much Indian mythology that has not been used before in an IP like this, that we just went back thousands of years back, actually, and we drew inspiration from these asuras, the demons in all the Indian scriptures. And we have some beautiful designs already made for them. Very colorful, very intricate, lot of details, lot of jewelry that they keep wearing. And they all look teal in color, which was very cool, actually. And they always don that mustache, that iconic mustache that you talk about. And we thought we had a brilliant cocktail of a villain character. But we also noticed that in all these scriptures, these demons are not just people who keep fighting randomly. They are very good war strategists. They are smart, actually. So that was cool, because Inquisitors are usually smart. They don't just come and bash you like that. I mean, some of them can be very, very, offensive all the time, but this one, not really. So apart from that, we didn't really draw an inspiration from a character which has been used in a comic book or a film. Then it was just about reiterating the design. And then we let the voice actor, who did a brilliant job on the voice, we'll just let him do his stuff, because he improvised so much of the voice that it inspired our character animation in a way. So that's how that character came about.
And, if I may add into that. So, when we typically went about doing it, I think one of the first thing was go and look at the famous villains from Bollywood, right? Like, so we had Mogambo as the first inspiration, right? And we put into that, we started that. And then we thought about, like, why not go mythology, right? Like, it's all about good and evil, and these guys are there. And how do you do that? Because the another thing also, I'm so glad that you're saying that's your favorite character. So what that means is there is something not bad or not good, or maybe there is something affectionate, or there's something curious about that character. So, because a villain is portrayed as a villain, so we have an opportunity on how do we create this character which is likable or which is intriguing enough. And then, of course, the facial hair and those things which we wanted to make it very authentic. And it's pretty bold, by the way. And, when I had some fans also asking that, I think one of the things they loved is the mustache, because they said next celebration, you will see people, which was pretty cool. And, golden armor. So we went all out. So one of the interviews our production designer talks about, and when he says, hey, what were you doing it? And what were you coming up with? And he says, we were developing that. And, in India, everything is big, everything is loud. So I wanted to add gold, So he added gold. So the character is menacing, but at the same time, it is very appealing and kind of likable, intriguing, that you want to know who that is. We wanted to go a little bit away from that, and I hope we have done that justice. So there is a little bit of an Asura's mythology feel. There's a little bit of a Mogambo. There's a little bit of somebody. And I'm just glad that, like when you picked it up, I think it is one of our favorite characters, and how even it is animated. Like, there's this thing about when he's talking and he rolls this, right? Like one of the animator actually did this reference and came back and he said, okay, he's going to play with the levy and roll it. And he just had like very few dialogue there, and which was a punch. So I'm glad you're liking it, and I'm glad others will like it too.
It was fantastic. And even the fight scene between him and the Jedi Elder with the two lightsabers, it was beautiful. And also a thought struck me while I was watching as well, that so much in like entertainment and media, it's like you see a lot of young people portrayed. And in that fight scene, we saw two very experienced fighters and two very wise, like in their own ways, coming. So it felt like much more climactic, much more intense, because it was these two established forces going against each other. So I love that as well. That fight scene was amazing.
You're going to be our favorite person because fight was the one thing we wanted to make it really, really iconic. Like, and you talk right? There are two experiences, and of course, there's a lot of history behind. Like, our fight is inspired from Kalaripatu martial arts from here, and the moves you see are very different. The two have a different moves, and it's just not like two people fighting something. There's a lot of deep sense out there. Even like the blows, how they're doing, the choreography is done. We were doing it till the last moment, to be honest. That was the last piece that we finished.
Oh yeah, it was great. I loved that. So speaking of, this is my last question. I love that you mentioned at the top that you're pulling in this very personal experience. Where did you look in the Star Wars universe? Like, what elements did you pull from the Star Wars universe that you're like, okay, when I take this is going to work well with our story? Like, where did you look?
I'm somebody who loves the prequels. I really like the prequels. And I love the whole Anakin's arc. It is beautiful. It's very well written. And I had a very good time with the prequels, basically. And I just love them. From all the Star Wars media, this is one of my favorites. And for me, the inspiration was definitely the episode 1, which is Anakin's story when he was very young. And he goes into this big world. And he was very smart, but he was also a little bit arrogant at times. And that was something which I think worked for Rani very well. And I don't want to say this, but I know that Rani is very smart. She is very hands-on. She can really do things on her own. Sometimes she tries to fight, even when she knows that she can lose or whatever, but she doesn't hold back, which makes her a very interesting character. We do not know what she will do in the future, how she will really use these powers that she has. So that for me was beautiful because Charuk, who doesn't know anything about the powers, who's just trying to save his younger sister, Rugal, the elder lady, is just trying to protect her. But Rani is a ball of fire. She can be amazing. So leaving that there is something which for me is an inspiration from the episode 1.
Thank you both so much for sitting down. We loved it, and we can't wait. We know the reception's going to be amazing, and we hope we see more. Thank you. All right. Take care. Thanks, guys.